What is going on? It is the Slaptain. I am but a lowly Slaptain riding the DeFi waves. The purpose of the video tonight is I want to inject a little bit of perspective into the Klima DAO. I don't know, the zeitgeist, because as a mod, what I've seen a million times is why price go down, why price go down, why price go down, and I want to address that. I'm going to tell you my opinion. None of this is financial advice. I need to say that right off the bat. And this is the opinions of SlaptainShwirv and SlaptainShwirv alone. I do not represent Klima DAO in this video in the slightest. All right, so I will give you my opinion on why price go down with Klima DAO. I will give you my honest assessment. I will give you a bit of good news. I will give you a story that I think bodes well for Klima DAO, and I will compare Klima DAO to Bitcoin, which is like a cardinal sin in crypto investments, right? So everything's Bitcoin. Anyway, so let's start with why price go down. So I have up the chart of the market cap. So this is the valuation of Klima DAO. Basically, you take all the circulating supply, multiply it by the price per unit, and that would be the total valuation of this entire protocol. Within 8 days of creation, Klima DAO jumped to $1.1 billion. $1.1 billion. I can't even, that's a terrible impersonation. $1.1 billion. What was that based on? Here's my opinion. Nothing good. That was FOMO. That was fear of missing out. That was a protocol getting hype from some influential YouTubers. I'm not saying it was me now. So some influential YouTubers. That was just the hype of a good project, people being excited to be part of a good project. And really what it was is people saw the price go up and they said, I want to get on that train. I want to go on that ride. And they aped in. Look at that APY and look at the price go. And they aped in and more money poured on top and more money poured on top and more money poured on top. And so we like more than tripled our evaluation from where this chart begins. And the people who bought in at whitelist, and I'll get to that in a second, or IDO, they're up like 100 times their investment, 200 times their investment. And they're saying, hey man, I'm taking profits. And they took profits. And then once they start taking profits, that train that everybody thought would never stop going up stops going up. And then the panic sets in. It's called a speculative bubble, okay? So let me draw your attention to the current state of Bitcoin. Well, what do we have right here? It's a meteoric rise and then a deflation. And what do we have right here? It's a meteoric rise and a deflation. These things are common in every market. I have Tesla up here. Let's see if we can find one. Oh, what do you know? What do we have right here? A meteoric rise and a deflation. What do we have right here? A meteoric rise. This was a deflation. If I zoom in, I follow Tesla quite closely. All right? So these are normal market forces, guys, particularly in new sectors, particularly in the life of a new protocol that gets hyped up so much. Now, here's the other thing, and I showed you the Bitcoin price. Here's the other thing that's going on. We are just in a corrective crypto market in general. As much as people want to keep telling themselves that this coin or this altcoin is not correlated to Bitcoin, guys, everything is correlated to Bitcoin. Everything, until it isn't, it is. Okay, and I'm not even a Bitcoin maxi. I'm just a realist. You know, here's how I know. On my little, console here, whenever Bitcoin is red, almost everything else is red. That's just how it goes. So we've been in a depressed market for like a week now. Now, here's what I'll say about the Klima price, to its credit. It has been stable between, I think, $530 and $700 for over a week now. And it's dripping a little bit down slowly, but it's not plummeting. It's not crashing. It wasn't crashing during the Bitcoin crash. It didn't. We kind of got that out of the way. All right, so that's that. Now, how do you evaluate? I think what I would believe to be when you're not in a speculative bubble. So if you look at market cap, which is 400 and let's say 80 million, let's compare it against what is called the market value of treasury assets. Currently, it's at 130 million. So that would be if you took all of the assets in the protocol's treasury, which would be BCT, Klima, and USDC, and you found the valuation of that, added it all together to be $130 million. So currently, we're trading. Our market cap is 480. We're what? 4x that, 3.5 times the treasury, meaning that people are valuing this thing 4 times greater than the treasury. And you could ask, well, why would someone do that? Well, what investors tend to do is they speculate on future price. You're never really buying at current price. You're buying on predicted future price. So if people think that there's going to be a future increase in the treasury in time, then it's a good, then we should buy in now. because then the treasury will catch up to our current price, and our current price will trade above and then the future price will trade above the future actual price. That's how investment works. If I look at Tesla, for instance, its market cap is in the trillions, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's trading at like 30 times what it pulls in. It's called price to earnings, and this is what I believe to be the equivalent of price to earnings on these DAOs. It's treasury value to market cap. So we're about 3x to 4x. I think that's healthy. I think we're fine. I actually think this is a really good time to buy into something like this. Not financial advice. I can't tell you what the market will do tomorrow. But here, I'll give you some good news beyond. I'll give you some good news just beyond some of the metrics that I'm looking at. Let me just run these down real quick. We're every day getting more Climates in. We're almost at 60,000 Climates right now. This is huge in a competitive DeFi space where the goal is to just onboard more and more people, because every day that ticks by and Klima exists and more people get exposure to it, the more legitimacy, the more confidence it instills in people. It's doing its job along those lines. Like I said, the treasury has been increasing nonstop, day in, day out, hour in, hour out, minute in, minute out, week in, week out. There's more BCT, there's more value in the treasury every day. The percent stakers, even during this correction, is still at 92%, which means 92% of the people or 92% of the circulation is still being locked up. RFE is still holding about where it is. It hasn't dropped. I think that will change. We've just increased bonding capacity. I've done a video on that. And we have decreased APY. It lags a little. That should increase. It's still fine. RFE has stayed about where it is. I think, again, that will increase. What else? Liquidity. We have pulled in nearly $9 million off of our LP fees. So that means when people trade our trade pairs, we get a portion of that through Sushi Swap. It's almost $9 million. Total liquidity owned is great, and liquidity to market cap is high, almost 15%, which is really good. Okay, so now here's a story I want to give you really quick. This is Biden signing an executive order to make the federal government net zero emission by 2050, which basically means that by 2050, the federal government's infrastructure, including buildings and cars, and you can think about how big the federal government is massive. All the infrastructure needs to be net zero emissions, carbon neutral. There's two ways to achieve that. One is through the onboarding of new infrastructure like hydroelectric power and solar farms and things like that. But I'm going to assume, and then also getting all internal combustion engines off the road. Now, I'm going to assume that we are going to be using, the royal we, society, will be using fossil fuels for a bit. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow or the day after that. So, whether it's by 2050, I don't know. It's 21? So we have 30 years. I would say it's safe to say that within the next 10 years, 20 years, you're going to still see a lot of fossil fuels burning. So how do you offset that? With things like carbon credits, mitigation offsets, and these are all of the things that will be coming on board, presumably will be coming on chain for Klima to buy up. So we're going to get this exposure to these carbon instruments, and there's going to be these actors, these government actors now. This is government mandated that we're going to get this demand for these things, and when demand enters a market, price goes up if all things remain equal, and if price of our backing goes up, then the price of our asset that it rests on should go up as well. So I'll link this. And here's my last thing, and this is a thought that I always say to people who enter into new green projects like Klima DAO, and then they get a little uneasy when the price does what price does, which is sometimes go up and sometimes go down. I know that's a really weird thing to think, that price go down too, right? So let me just get up the Bitcoin chart really quick, because I see a lot of people say, why price go down, and when should I sell, and all this stuff. All right, so this isn't even a complete chart of Bitcoin. This is just, I think, the last 3 years. So you could see that, 3 years ago, it was at 2,800. At the high, it was at 68,000, a 30x gain from where we were. And if you go even further back to the beginning, like 2011, 2008, I mean, it's an infinite amount of gain. People always say, I wish I owned Bitcoin then, and they point to some year a long time ago. And they're doing that because they have the current understanding of what Bitcoin is now. That's easy to do when you know it's all going to work out well. But my thing is this: if you're going to go into Klima DAO's Discord and say, I'm going to dump this because the price scares me, and you have every right to do that. You can't say that and also say, I wish I were in Bitcoin in 2008, because here's the deal. The only way you got to where we are if you held Bitcoin in 2008 was through absolutely soul-crushing dumps. I wasn't in Bitcoin in 2011, but one of my good friends now, who's worth untold millions was. And he's told me multiple times how he had to sit and watch his investment plummet over 80%. Time and time again. It happened to him multiple times. And that dude, that badass diamond hands, held through every one of those dumps because he fundamentally believed in the project. And now he's reaping those benefits. Okay? And I'm not saying that is guaranteed for Klima. I'm not saying that, because here's the reality. I'll say it right now. In 5 years, could Klima be non-existent? 100%. The same way I could be non-existent in 5 years. The same way that Bitcoin could be non-existent in 5 years. But if you want to get these sorts of gains, if you're in it for that, and you think that the protocol has a fundamental mission, if you think that it is strong fundamentally, then you know what, man? If you want to have those sorts of successes, you need to hold sometimes through these 80% dips or whatever it's going to be, because that's what chases out the APY chasers, the paper hands, the people looking to get wealth easy. Wealth isn't easy. There's two ways to get it: patience and discipline, or risk tolerance. And if you don't have both of those, you ain't going to get it. That's my spiel on that. I'm going to post this in trade chat, I think, and you guys can rip me apart and tell me why I'm wrong. Take your anger out on me. In all seriousness, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm not budging. My timeline on this project is 4+ years. I'll be honest, I don't even care what happens to the price. As long as I wake up tomorrow and the protocol is there and we're still bonding carbon, I'm good. That's really it. Business Pepe. Do you have conviction? Do you have conviction? Peace, dudes.